recovery is something that you should be doing proactively, not reactively. And I think what happens as we get older, life, kids, family, responsibility, we tend to, oh, okay, something hurts. Now I got to take care of it. Or I'm sick. Let me go buy the medicine, right? So what I tell people is, a little half kidding around, by the time you've got the injury, it's too late. But how we can treat it to, one, heal it, but two, maybe even prevent it from happening again to you or being this chronic thing is important. So obviously the sooner the better. Something bothers you, don't wait. I like to think that as long as I continue to bring not only the passion for what I do, but also the enthusiasm, I feel like just like the last 10 years went, so will the next. I will end up where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be, and not a minute before and not a minute after. The right time, you will always be on time when it's your time at the right time. You know what I mean? Wherever you're meant to be, you will end up. And if you haven't got there yet, it's because you're not supposed to be there yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of In the Living Room Podcast, where we learn, laugh, and heal. And today is going to be a very interesting conversation, podcast, interview. Here's why. I think the universe, God, or however, or whatever you believe in, aligns things. And let's talk about alignment in such an interesting way. I'm at work one day, going through this pain. Some of y'all don't know. I've been battling. It cracked right now as I moved my leg, right? I wish I was joking. It clicked right now as I move. Tightness in the ankle, the hip. So for y'all to be talking about my legs, they used to be bigger. I understand. I can't really hit legs like I want to, but I've been really gung-ho on fixing this pain. And I'm at work. And a gentleman walks in. And as soon as he walks in, I knew who he was because I follow him on social media. It was no, hey, how you doing? It's you're the man I need, bro. I got a pain in my ankle that goes up to my hip, sometimes my glute. He's like, you know this is what I do, right? I said, no, I actually know this is what you do because I follow you. The founder of sports recovery, professional recovery.
Pro Strength. Yeah.
Pro Strength, I'm sorry. The founder of Pro Strength and Recovery, the one and only Anthony Rosado in the building. Clap it up this gentleman one time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me.
I'm here.
I just want to tell you the level of professionalism this man has. After that day that I met him and told him, hey, this is what I'm going through, you sent me countless videos of what I should be doing to get like tips, help this process, and then follows up and says, listen, bro, I love what you're doing. I think it'd be great if we did some work together. I said, I completely agree, but I would like for you to come first to my office, kind of see how I work. And y'all know I was so geeked. I said, word. Like, yeah, that'd be great, you know, because in this world, to honestly, you don't come across people who are that good at what they do and also that genuine and care about helping out a person. Like, he was consistently sending me stuff. When I got there, let me tell you something right now, y'all. The service was impeccable. First and foremost, it smells incredible at that spot.
Thank you.
Like the whole energy, the vibe, it's incredible. I almost wanted to move and I didn't want to tell him now, like, yo, bro, can I like live here for like a day? It felt that cozy. You know
You're not the first.
I'm telling you, the artwork is fire. The bathroom is super clean. I'm talking about things that we don't talk about. Bathroom is super clean. Waters was in the fridge. I'm like, nah, bro, it's a professional for real. So I genuinely appreciate you hosting me over there. And then we had great conversation. And today, the world gets to hear something that we were speaking on, right?
Yes.
While we was in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, it's Anthony Rosado. Before we get into all your accolades, and all right, so some of y'all want to know, you know, work with the Brooklyn Nets, professional boxers, you name them, the guy's put his hands and help heal to some degree. Before we get into everything you've done, who is Anthony Rosado?
Honestly, I just, when people ask that question, I like to just start off by saying, you know, I'm somebody that likes to help. And I think I found my avenue with what I do with the stretch therapy. And it's kind of helped me, you know, do kind of like what you were saying, different things and different opportunities that came across. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think that my purpose is really just to be somebody that helps, and kind of that's my way through the world, you know. And my avenue is I'm a stretch therapist. So you saw a little bit of that as you came. So yeah, that's kind of who I am and what I'm about.
So why stretch therapy, right? Because I think there's chiropractors out here, right? There's so many different lanes that is unknown, like a chiropractor or a massage therapist, right? Or masseuse, you could go either way. However you want to do that. Why this field, and how did you always want to do this?
You know what's funny? People always assume that because I'm good at what I do or the people I've worked with, but this was something I had no idea of doing. I was going to school for physical therapy, and while I was doing that, I was, like everybody else, right? You're going to school, you're working to make some money on the side to support yourself, help out at home. And I was a trainer, and I saw an opportunity because the gym I was at had a lot of professional and semi-professional athletes. And I wanted something that would separate me from them in a way that was positive, but would also be my little niche while I was there. And that's how I found stretch therapy. And as I tell people, it was like off to the races from there. That was the beginning of a spark I didn't even know that I had lit. So
I love to put that into context too, because it's a competitive field, right? Like, very competitive. So when you say you were working in a gym with professionals, right? Yeah. So were you coming fresh out of school at this point? Like, did you have a catalog or besides stretch therapy, like as a trainer?
Right. Well, it was actually funny because I was working actually at a gym in the city, and my manager who was running that gym, he was somebody who I guess had connections, and I was, I was at a point where I think I had accomplished everything I wanted to at that one spot, and he knew the person that was running this location that all these fighters at. And I said, you know what? It's an opportunity that if you're okay with it, I'd like to pursue. So I had my my undergraduate degree, and I had some experience, but not at the level at some of these guys. So it was kind of right place, right time, right opportunity. And I'd like to believe that I made the best of it by kind of, pursuing it how I did.
So what's the mindset of Ant at the moment, right? Like, put me in that time where you go to this gym and it's like, yo, everybody here's a pro, bro.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you had guys on Bellator, like they'd be working with me on a Friday, and Saturday night they're on Bellator fighting.
Sick.
Yeah, I mean, it was another worldly experience, and I think what actually helped me, probably also helped me later on when I worked for the Brooklyn Nets and these other teams, I think was, understanding that it doesn't matter who somebody is, we're all people, right? So at the end of the day, yes, somebody's very good at one thing. I'm very good at, stretching, whereas these guys are very good at fighting. And, when you get in a room with people, it's really interesting to find the amount of common ground you can come across just because, we might not have the same likes or the same hobbies or even the same, things that we excel at, but, you can always find that common ground. And I think that kind of helped me, at least in the beginning, trying to relate and also just trying to fit in, right? Get in, kind of get in where you can fit in. And that was something I knew, hey, I'm not going to be able to train this person like the guy fighting on Bellator this week. But you know what? Hey, I can bring value with what I do, and I can also bring value to their clients in the way of, recovery. And that's kind of how I approached everything, because there's always plenty to go around for everybody,
Where do you get this mindset from? Because I think, right, you're speaking to many people that will go to school, and you went to school for physical therapy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. You go to school, you get the degree, and you say, this is what I'm going for. And then you get to the real world and go, uh-oh. How do I utilize what I have? Because for me, anybody, listen to me. If any of you have a degree and then you're not using that degree, for me, it's something I had foresight a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to use any of this stuff. I'm not doing it. But I know it's the pride of finishing something, but then being like, is it for you? Is it for parents? But then how do I use this that I went to school for to still pay me in the future? And then not have the experience and being in the gym. So the question is, not going to school, finishing, not necessarily using it for that degree, and then also still being confident enough or having the faith or the wherewithal to say, okay, I have to navigate in this situation because I feel like everything's always changing.
Well, you know what's interesting? I don't think I've always had that mindset. I would like to believe that I've always had the mindset, however, of, when most people tend to be scarcity mindset, where they think like, oh, if I take from you, I have to, because otherwise there won't be enough if I share. I have to take this for me and look out for me. And I always felt like you can only get so far, because at some point, the water's going to run dry on that. Mm-hmm. You get more when you give more, and maybe not right away. And I think people get caught up, especially now where, with everything going on in the world, it's so easy to say, hey, you know what, I got to look out for me, and whatever happens, happens. But I think early on I knew that was not a way to be, and maybe I didn't have that confidence to say, oh, everything's going to work out the way I had hoped. But I knew that, hey, listen, a lot of it was right place, right time. I don't want to pretend like I had this all planned working with the Nets or working with, Canelo and all these other boxers. I didn't want to plan like that was the idea. But I think what happened was, along the way, I said, whatever door I end up walking through, I'm going to make an impact where it's a positive one. And that way, as long as I'm acting how I want to, present myself to the world, whatever happens, one way or another is how it's going to happen.
Amazing.
I think that's what carried me through, especially in the beginning, because the truth is, a lot of nights I went to sleep saying, I don't know what I'm going to do with this degree that like you said, early on, I just knew this was not something, at least in a clinical setting, that was for me. And so I knew I had to navigate my road, and, everything happens for a reason. But, life, I think a lot of people are so worried about, oh, I have to hurry up and get there. And when sometimes you making a plan is not the way it goes. And so you have to have that wherewithal to say, hey, I have to just be positive and go with it and see where the things lead you.
I think that is amazingly and well said, bro. 'Cause just to give us context, so how long have you been in this profession?
Yeah, so I've been a stretch therapist now going on 10 years. And I've had my clinic in Franklin Square in Long Island now for about 7. So it's been a little while.
So give me that. Okay, so now we're in it. I want to go there. Boom. We see you in the gym, and it's pro fighter, and I'm like, where does this clientele base start? Because now to have your own facility, that didn't happen overnight, right? To have your own place. So when does it start to click for Ant? Like, wait, I kind of got something here. Like I know I want to do something different. Opposed to it being something that I'm figuring out to now being a business.
Right.
When does this happen, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember that. I can remember pretty clearly. I was working a job running a gym in Long Island, something that paid well but didn't require me to have to be out there hustling on the floor while I could finish up my degree, so I didn't have to be kind of burning the candle at both ends. And my phone was just off the hook while I was there, ringing, text clients, potential clients, hey, do you have availability? I want to stretch. I heard so-and-so stretched with you, and I want to try it out. I heard you're amazing. And so at that point when I realized, hey, I'm losing money being at this job that I don't even really like that well, which is fine because we're all going to have to work jobs we don't like to get where we want to go. But for me, I was looking at it and I was like, man, the math is not mathing. Right? I'm here taking significantly less. But I have this degree, I have this background. Let's take this leap, because worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, I can always come back to this thing that I'm just okay with doing.
Following.
So
was it in between? So when you were at work, I want to kind of get the scale of when did you, because now you're here, but was it at that job that you started stretching people, or was like, hey, on the side, did you do it part-time on the side? And then till you got to that point where it was like,
yeah, so I mean, it was one of those things where I think everybody now sees where I've ended up and my following and my socials and who I've worked with, and they think like, oh, it's so easy. I want to do that. Let me go to school for that. But really, it was a lot of behind the scenes. I mean, I would leave that office sometimes. I don't know if you know where Ronkonkoma is, but it's
sounds far.
It's right. It's not. It's not close. And I'd leave there sometimes at 8, and I would come back home, and my friend had a gym, and I would use his gym at night, and I'd be there sometimes to midnight, 1 a.m, stretching people. I had another friend that they owned like an indoor facility for soccer, and they would do midnight tournaments, and I would go, and I wouldn't charge a dime. I would go from midnight to 3 a.m. stretching sweaty soccer players as they're coming off the field.
Right.
Just to get my reps and get my name out there and kind of spread the awareness, because that was, at that point, I was going for it. And so once I had committed to this is what I'm going to go for, you know, I had to go all the way because I'd rather go for something and it not work out, but I know I gave 100%, then kind of half, I made an Instagram, I posted a couple videos that lasted about 2 weeks. And, you know, I knew I'm gonna do it all the way. And so that's kind of how it happened, just the countless hours off the clock,
right,
before work, after work,
right,
on the weekends, on a Sunday. That's
nonstop.
Yeah.
So it took 3 years, because you've been doing for 10,
Correct.
about 3 years to say, you know what, I need my own spot.
Right.
Did it get to a point where were you doing, so it was always on the go, or did you have like a set destination until you got your own location?
Well, you know, it was funny. When I first started, I was stretching people out of my house.
We're in the living room, by the way. You understand what I'm saying?
And that's where I was. I was in the living room.
Right.
Which is, listen, it was not a bad place to start. And I was doing some mobile, but it got to the point where, you know, I needed a home base. And also with the type of clientele I was working with, something about having my own space, you know, brings a little more, I don't want to say credibility because I had the credentials, but it brought a little more emphasis of, oh, okay, he has an office. Just like I have a website. You know, you can look me up and have every detail about me from the time I graduated college to now.
Right.
So that's kind of what I think it was. It kind of was allowing people to become familiar with me, you know, and not just like, hey, I'll come to your house and stretch you.
Right. So, all right, so now let's get to the fun stuff. Give me that first client, because you did work for the Nets, right?
Yes.
So when was the first like, oh shit, I'm about to stretch? You did say Canelo, right? That's a fucking big name.
Yeah. Well, the first for me was when I got hired to work with the Nets. You know, I'm a basketball fan, casually, I would say.
Okay.
But I know a lot of who these guys were. So I think for me, the first time it hit me was when I walked into the equipment room and the guys handed me, oh, here's your shirts, because you have to wear their stuff. So here's your shorts, here's your socks, here's your shoes. And I go to turn around, and standing in the doorway was Brooke Lopez, right? And this guy, I mean, on TV, they all look about the same.
Correct. Huge, though.
But these guys are like, you know, massive. And I looked up and I was like, oh, okay, like this is real, I'm here. So, you know, I worked with a lot of guys that season. And then also, too, just seeing guys on the visiting team come in while I'm treating. So just, I think for me, the first, like, shocking moment where I, like, had to really realize, like, you know, because that's the other thing, too. You work with these level of guys, they, like, beyond discretion, treat them like normal people.
Correct.
But I think for me, the one time I had to catch myself was when I was treating one of the guys on the team, and Kyrie Irving walked in. Cleveland Cavaliers Kyrie Irving.
Ooh,
so this is like, and this was right before LeBron came back. So this was like, you know, he's making a name for himself and he's a superstar. So a little bit of starstruck, but a little bit of like, okay, we're here. We have to act like we've been here.
Right.
This is my first year, but I got to make these people feel like it's year 10. Fast forward, the first moment where I felt like this was big, I made it, was when I was working on that Canelo fight. He was fighting Danny Jacobs, and I was working with Danny Jacobs for that fight to kind of get him ready physically to take on that challenge of fighting Canelo. So that was a huge event to be a part of, and that was the first time that I think I felt like this was big, but I deserved it. That I was walking in that door with that sense of, I've got the list to back it up of everything I've done. And, you know, it was like a weight off my shoulder at that point. So those were the two big moments. The first time ever, and then the first time where I was like, no, I'm the man.
Yeah, fire.
I deserve to be walking through this door that I'm walking through.
That's bro, I want to clap. You know why I'm clapping? Because that moment, that distinction, we can be so good at something and not own the name, the title, the ability, because we have a story in our own mind. And sometimes you need to be in an environment that doesn't say, nah, hold up, bro. I earned this right here. You know what I mean? Which is super fire. So let's speak on the recovery process, all right? Like, let's say, when is a prime time to reach out to Ant? I know I'm late. Right? Like, I done been dealing with this damn thing for so damn long, but when is it the proper time? If I'm playing basketball and I roll my ankle,
Right.
what's the recovery process like? Like, is it something where I feel like I'm gonna be battling this bad boy consistently, maybe for like 6 to 12 months consistently? And it's kind of draining in my mind, to be honest, before I start. So when do I go see Anthony? And how do you build this level of comfort for me to say, I am gonna heal some way, somehow?
So the one thing I really drive home to a lot of my clients is recovery is something that you should be doing proactively, not reactively. And I think what happens as we get older, life, kids, family, responsibility, we tend to, okay, something hurts. Now I got to take care of it. Or I'm sick. Let me go buy the medicine, right? So what I tell people is, a little half kidding around, by the time you've got the injury, it's too late. But how we can treat it to, one, heal it, but two, maybe even prevent it from happening again to you or being this chronic thing is important. So obviously the sooner the better. Something bothers you, don't wait. Go see somebody, come see me, right? And it's like a plan. It's like you put a plan together, just like every morning. You have your routine. There's a routine that if you follow it, you'll see the results, just like you would from lifting weights in the gym or changing up your diet. And how consistently you stick to that routine is just how, aggressive the results you can get.
I want a success story, and I need to build because I know I'm gonna do it. I need to build my belief in this process, because one day I'm way more mobile, and I'm like, oh, we good today. I could sleep today, etc. The next day, I want my mommy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, bro. It's so sore. It's this, etc. Give me a story of somebody that you had as a client, came in either with I got a friend got a super tight shoulder, tight ankle, tight hip, and because they saw you, and of course they did their part, they followed their plan, that to you was like a win. Like, oh, this one was one of these, like.
So for me, the biggest one, just because he's still with me all these years later, one of my first clients, probably my second client, the first was his daughter. She was training with me in the gym, and she liked the stretching better than the working out.
right.
And I was like, okay. I didn't take offense. I said, hey, listen, okay, fine. We started stretching, and she told me about her dad that was going to need a double hip replacement. And so I said, look, I can't promise anything because, certain things go beyond my scope, right? And I think as a practitioner, in whatever field you're in, it's recognizing, hey, one thing is to take on a challenge that maybe I haven't experienced, but another thing is something outside of your scope, right?
Right.
So I felt like, come in, we'll see if this works. And like everything else, some things are going to be great, some things are not. Everybody needs to find what is best for their recovery. And I like to say all these years later, he did have to get the double hip, but we were able to withhold it for 2 years by working together. So he went from couldn't even get out of his car to walk in my store to the only thing really holding him back was, when it's bone on bone like that, there's only so much you can do. But not only were we able to withhold it for 2 years, but I can say to this day, we still work together. He still comes in once a week, and he's able to run around with his grandkids up and down ladders and stairs and doing handiwork. So that's probably the most severe case.
Fire.
Where I remember the first time took him forever to walk from the car to my front door. And now he's like basically running up and down the street.
Amazing.
So
how old is he? Do you know, give or take?
He now is probably in his early to mid 60s. But we started working almost a decade ago. So yeah, big difference. For most people, it's about, getting out of pain, chronic pain.
Right.
Most people I see, it's kind of like they've gone everywhere else.
Right.
And I become the last resort. And what I tell people is, somebody can get you in the best shape or, they can do anything for you. But when you're in pain, and unless you've been in that kind of pain, you will do anything to get out of it. And so when you're dealing with a lot of people like that, it's just making them kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel that they're not going to be able to see for themselves.
I respect. Huge respect. And here's a part that is very interesting. Because in this time frame that you've been doing this, there's also a time that the world stopped and people weren't coming out.
Yeah.
Right? So innovation or being able to stay in business when nobody wants to come now see you, all right? Because COVID came, right? How did you navigate then? Or were you still allowing people to come see you if they came like, at the heart of it, I guess let me just ask you the question. How did you navigate through all the innovation and like challenges in that time frame?
Well, that's a great question. Starting out, when the world shut down, nobody really knew what was going on. And so I tried to transition to a little bit of online. But it's also hard because what I do is one-on-one and it requires me to physically do the work, right? It's not like personal training or coaching where I can see you virtually. So surprisingly, a lot of people wanted to come in, which I was shocked. I thought it would be the other way. And it was almost like, all right, I need to manage my safety, the safety of my clients, as well as, what can I do here? Because, in the beginning, we didn't really know.
Right.
I think that was when I experienced a lot of growth because I started to do things that I normally wouldn't do. It's funny, even being on this podcast today is something that maybe 4 or 5 years ago was something that I just wasn't maybe willing to do. Mm-hmm. But it forced me to grow and say, okay, reach out to these people. I was doing a lot of collabs, reaching out to people that I never expected to even hear from. And I worked and just kind of try to navigate the waters of what will this new opportunity bring me instead of, that's it. I can't do my job how I've been doing it. How am I going to survive? And I had a lot of friends that with their own businesses, for one reason or another, weren't able to kind of see it through. But I said, you know what? If I can find a way to get through this time with my business, then, a once in 100-year situation, at that point, you can really navigate anything, especially in New York, right?
For sure.
So I'm kind of thankful for that because it allowed me to tap into a side of myself that I was probably way too comfortable not doing. Mm-hmm. Made me much more well-rounded.
I have a very interesting question now to follow that.
Yeah.
Because not only the time of the fear of am I going to get sick or whatever the case is, bro, you're easy to talk to. And like, if y'all don't feel it here, the man, right? Like, I feel like I know him. It's our second time having a conversation, or give or take, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like I know him for a long time. Have you had a client, because you're on a table with this person.
Oh, yeah.
30, 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes longer. Mm-hmm. Has there ever been customers where you're like, all right, bro, shut up? Or like, or like, you don't have this easy back and forth. It's like, it's uncomfortable for you to work with a person. Have you ever had a time to say, you know what, thank you for coming, but we can't continue the service? Something like that, just for sight. Like, it's never going to just be nice and easy all the time, no?
Of course not, no. I mean, it's funny. I'd like to think that the kind of energy you bring, that's the kind of people that gravitate towards you. So whenever I've done events or I've done social media stuff, you always will attract the people that it's meant for, right? Because what you're putting out there is really not meant for everybody. Mm. But I tend to think that over the years, I've not had a lot of those people, but there is a but. Of course, there's always going to be that one or that two. And I think in those moments, right, you have to just make sure that they're not taking that energy from you, right? That passion, that excitement you have. And I think for me, yeah, I won't lie. There's times I was staring at the clock like, man, there's no way it's been 10 minutes. There's just no way, right? Right. And I think I just get into a mode where I started to say, hey, you know what? Not every person is going to be your best friend. Some people are coming in because they don't want to talk, or some people are coming in because you might be the only person they can talk to, right? You become their therapist. You become their friend. You become their confidant. So for me, it was, okay, what energy is this person giving? What are they telling me? Even if it's not verbally, body language, looks, what is it? And just trying to feed off that energy and kind of just make them feel like, hey, you know what? If it's not, you don't want to talk great, you want to talk great. And so I think just remembering why I'm doing it and understanding that I'm coming from the right place. And as long as I come with that energy, you know, it's not 100% of the time, but the majority of the time you will attract the people that it's meant for. So that's kind of my philosophy on things.
I respect it. And why are you doing this? It's been 10 years, right? It's been 10 years and you continue to do so. Why?
Honestly, I think growing up, and especially now with society, right, there's so much pressure on what do you want to do? What do you want to go to school for? What do you want to be, right? And with social media, it's like, well, why don't you have a business? Why don't you have a side thing, right? The fancy term they float around is, passive income. Where's the passive income, right? And I think for me, for a long time, it was just, what could I find that didn't feel like it was work, right? And I just found something that I get up every morning and I feel like, wow, this is something that I'm blessed to do. And so that feeling is something that I don't want to say that I don't have any further goals for myself, but people are always saying, oh, when are you opening your second location? When are you doing this? I'm like, I'm content. I'm still highly motivated, but you know what? My goal is to help the most amount of people I can because I enjoy doing it, not because I want to be, not because I wanted to, be this big person or make all this money or, whether I work with the Nets or not didn't define who I was. The opportunity was great, but if it never came along, it wasn't going to make me feel like, oh, I'm the man or I'm doing it for that accolade, And I just, I still wake up every day looking forward to it. And so I know that until the day, and when the day comes, I'll tell you right now, when the day comes that I don't, that's the day I'll stop. Like if I ever wake up and I'm like, oh, I got to go in today, that'll be the last day. That'll be the last day that I'll do it.
It's a big message right there and huge. And especially in today's world, like find something that you get to do, not have to do, right? Like I kid you not, I'm sitting here going, we're having a conversation in my living room, a conversation that I would have with you if there was nothing on, and this is an industry. It doesn't feel like I'm working. You know what I'm saying? The joy it brings me. And it's not about being the biggest podcaster, the one with it's like, what does this do for me? Genuinely hearing your story and hearing where you stand does something for me. And in return, if you're listening, I hope you're paying attention to that message. Like, so much things out there. Do this, the new flip, the passive income, why not 17 locations? You're centered with what you like. You said it best. I'm content, but still highly motivated. That was perfect, bro. Yeah. If you could change something about what you do, all right, if you can enhance it or there's something about the industry that you wish was a bit different, what would that be?
I would probably have to say, touching on a little bit of what I said earlier, there's a lot of that scarcity mindset in the industry, which is in a lot of industries, right? It's like, oh, if I get my shine, I have to dim yours. Or if I get this opportunity, I can't put you on because then I might not get that opportunity anymore. And when people are always surprised where I've ended up, it's always because I open my doors, my books, whatever you want to know. There's no secret to what I did. I will tell you play by play, step by step. I've had people come through my doors, intern with me, and go on to open their own businesses doing what I do, doing similar to what I do. And people always say, oh, why do you do that? Why do you help them? Because, you attract the energy you put out in the world, right? If I'm this person that behind closed doors, I'm resentful, I'm somebody who doesn't want to help, I'm somebody who's envious, that's going to, even if I don't verbally express those things in front of everybody, that's still going to come out. And that's not how you're going to, every single person that I've helped or that's come to work with me, the one thing they could never say is that I did not want them to succeed. And I think in my industry, as well as a lot of other industries, we can just understand that, hey, there's plenty to go around. What's meant for you will always be meant for you. And if, don't be afraid to help somebody out because maybe, hey, if me helping you out gets you an opportunity, that's your time. And who knows, maybe it's not my time right now, or maybe positioning myself. You know, life is too small to be sitting there and worrying about, you know, I only got to make sure that I keep this a secret and cover it up and lock it behind a door, right? So if my calling was to help people, this is how I can help somebody, if I can help somebody.
I think that is amazing because, you know, especially I think today, with now we speaking how the economy looks today, the fear of AI, which instead of us looking at how AI can help our business, how it's going to take, I don't think, I'd rather have you help me stretch than artificial intelligence.
There's a robot now. You know, I got a targeted ad, not to cut you off.
Cole, let me hear this.
For a robot that you lay down and the arms come down and it does like the massage. I saw that. That blew my mind. But I don't think it'll get too quickly to that point because I think the one thing we are learning as humans with all this AI and tech stuff is that we're starting to miss that human interaction.
Human connection is the best connection.
1,000%.
Period. Like, I find myself, like, seeing how things could trick the mind and being on the phone. And I'm like, yeah, I want to have a conversation with somebody. My biggest challenge today is like, where's the coro, bro? Where's the vibe? Where's the people that when I'm there with these people, we're there with each other, not somewhere else in our minds or in our phones. You know what I'm saying? So the experience, let me just say this, y'all, for real. As the interviewer going to Ant's spot, I felt like I could tell him my life, bro. I didn't even know this. To be honest, I don't even know how long I was there. I don't. I just know that it was
all by design, by the way.
Like, I want to speak to that because I was there like, when I left, I was like, yo, I think I almost gave him my social security number. Bro, it was like, yo, bro, he's helping with, and he's speaking to me while I'm in pain. Because if any of y'all been through some, you get nervous when you know if you're about to like, all right, this is the leg right here. I'm scared. And the conversation and that flow and being able to understand, I think scarcity mindset is like even what you do, it aligns with the healing process of who you are and what you do. All right? Insane. I know I went on a tangent there, but I just had to let y'all know. For real, he's the real deal. Not gonna lie. So here's the question I have. Like, when someone leaves your office, all right, is there, I guess I didn't check it on the website, like a program that, hey, when you're by yourself, what's the like ideal time? If I'm watching this for the first time, I say, yo, my fellas, hit me out. To my men, to my Dominican brolic guys. Stretch, B. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, you gotta get moving, bro. Like, it ain't this whole stiffness. We gotta move our body. So there's people that go to the gym to this day that it blows my mind. They get there and it's like, all right, cool, I'm off to the weight rack right now. And I'm like, yo, how can you do that? Some people don't even want to work out with me because I need 15 minutes, 20 minutes to warm up before I do anything. From your experience or from the data, is it like essential for longevity to stretch for how long? Do I do it before a workout? Do I do it after a workout? If so, what's the time period?
So normally what I tell my clients or what I would tell anybody is, you know, especially because the first excuse that's going to come after my response is going to be all time, right? I don't have time. So what I tell people is, okay, let's say you don't have any time, right? You're going to the gym for an hour. Maybe that's the only time you have. Take 5 minutes at the beginning of your day and 5 minutes at the end. And if you do that every day, it adds up. It's really about small, you know, change. You don't have to be drastic. Like the fact that you have 15, 20 minutes is great. But somebody who's still doing 5 is still going to get benefits for their muscle and for their body. And there's no right or wrong. The only thing that I usually preach is that if you're going to stretch before a lift or before an intense session, whatever that might be for you, do more like movement-based stretching. So like lunges, maybe jumping up and down, jumping jacks, things like that to get your body ready for movement. Because the static, all that standing in place or sitting in place, that's going to do more for you after your workout because you're going to be shortening the muscles. So before workout, move around, jump around, even if you do the same exercise without weight, just so that your body gets the feeling of the squat or the press, right? But as long as you're doing something, you're going to see benefits. So all the people that are going to say, oh, I don't have 15 minutes, I don't have 20 minutes, cool. Wake up in the morning. You could even stretch. I did a video probably going back 2-3 years now. Wake up in the morning. You could stay in your bed and stretch and do 5 minutes, right? Think about how much time people waste in their bed on their phone before they get up to go to the bathroom.
We talking right here. Can you give me an example, bro? Hold on. So I'm in bed.
Oh, yeah.
I know we can't really move too much because of cameras and stuff. But like I tend to like move one leg over.
Yeah, leg across your body is good. Sit and reach, like feet straight out, sit up, put your hands out. You know, little subtle things. You know, everybody's body is different. So you know, hey, if this is tight, how to stretch it, how to move it. But, you know, you could be anywhere and you can make it a stretch. Leaning up against the wall, have your foot up to stretch your ankle, you know, across your body. There's so many things you can do. And so what I normally tell people is the same thing with everything else, right? Nobody has time. None of us do. We all our days are mostly mapped out for us, right? So we have to make the time. And we tend to make the time for the things that we feel are important.
Right.
But yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, it becomes, you don't want it to become like a check engine light in your car. You don't want to wait till the problem's here because then it's all the catch up. And that goes with everything in life, right? So just being mindful of that and taking the time.
Okay, so let me give you more context of what I'm saying. So for example, a person like me, all right, that this ankle has now triggered so many other damn things. Like this damn knee was bothering me earlier today, which never really bothers me, but I know I'm doing more to my ankle, so I feel like, the muscles that I have not been using are now sore, is leading to this. The hip is not that bad. When there's a compound effect, right, to this magnitude, please don't be me, and I'm gonna get back. I need the thick legs, bro. You feel me? Like I need the. Do I do the body part that's bothering the most first, right? So do I go ankle first, then target knee, then hip, or where there's least pain first, and then target the place that hurts the most?
Yeah, so the one interesting thing that I think a lot of people will learn from this is a good thing to pick up on, because a lot of people don't realize where you are feeling the pain, that's just the manifestation of where it, you know, is in your body. It's not necessarily what's causing the pain. So your ankle might hurt you, but it doesn't mean anything's wrong with your ankle. Most people come in and they think like, oh, my shoulder hurts, right? My shoulder's messed up. And I'm like, no, your shoulder's fine. What happens is there's a point where the injury's taken root, and then it kind of spreads along that same line in the tissue. So by the time it's gone all the way down your leg, now it's that check engine light. It's that like, better fix it. So what ends up happening is people, you know, most people don't know that. They think, oh, my ankle hurts, right? They go get it looked at. My back hurts, let me go to a chiropractor. You know, my mouth hurts, let me go to the dentist, right? And what you're treating is, you're not treating the cause, you're treating the pain, which is not always aligned with one another. So what if you were in front of me and I was assessing you, what I would say is, we're going to treat you globally to treat locally, right? Because by treating the other parts of your leg or the other parts of your body, that will alleviate a lot of the tension and discomfort that's radiating out of your foot. It's like a ripple effect, right? So your foot is part of that ripple effect. But a lot of people don't know that. They just, you know, they get hurt, and the first thing they do, they run to the doctor and say, okay, yeah, you know, or the massage person, right? Take your elbow and put it in my shoulder. And a lot of the time, the shoulder's fine. So they end up doing more damage by not being in tune with, where is this pain in my body really coming from?
And it's funny as you say that, because I remember when we were stretching, I'm like, my left side was I'm like, yo, this is super tighter than this side, and certain movements is like, because how the body overcompensates.
Right.
All right. Is there ever been something like this in your business where you're focusing on one thing and not realizing that it was probably the marketing that you needed to focus on to bring more people in, or kind of how the body works? Does this ever happen to you in business, where you're focusing on one thing, but then take that look and look globally and say, maybe if I just focus on this, it enhances everything else?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. Truthfully, I was always a person that was introverted, which is funny because...
Don't see that at all. Wait, not to cut you off. This is what. All right. This is what I got passionate. Listen here, motherfucker. I learned that the most introverted person is the most interesting person. Opposites, right? When I did business with introverts, they were destroy in business because they were always quiet. And when they finally started speaking, their friends were like, yo, they're speaking. And they never spoke. It blows my mind. Yo, Rob, you're so good in sales. There's a person who never did sales and just felt more trustworthy, that wasn't so great with their words, sold more than the person that was salesy. So, sorry. But I didn't see introvert at all.
Yeah. So I think early on I was, and when you're starting out in business, you tend to have the blinders on of like, I need to make money, right? Because I need to sustain this business. Mm-hmm. And I think for me early on, I realized after a while, like, hey, doing these events or going to these things where I'm giving my service, can't look at it as I'm giving it away for free, right? It's an opportunity to expand my circle, to bring what I do, bring the awareness of it, right? What is the value of me reaching more people? Is that worth more than me charging this one person $100?
It's a great question.
Right? And there's a time and a place for it. And I think that realizing like, hey, by networking with these people and doing more with different people in health and fitness or different areas, I can get a lot easier to my goal of expanding my reach. And that's kind of what happened. A lot of people always say, oh, like, with my Instagram or with my TikTok. And it was always like, well, I didn't even really, I never spent a dime on marketing. Mm-hmm. I never put a lot of money into that. I just focused on, hey, if I have you come in and you tell 10 other people and they tell 10 other people, it's like, the 6 degrees of separation. And for me, that was the light bulb of, okay, let me see what this can bring instead of, okay, I got to make sure every person that comes in, pays for a session. Mm. Sometimes you get more you get more when you give more. Not to say, oh, get taken advantage of,
for sure.
But there's a time and a place and a purpose. And for anybody out there, whether you're starting a business or whether you're trying to have something on the side even, yes, you want to make money because maybe that's something you want to do full time, but sometimes you have to give a little bit to get a little bit. And the people that sent me the most business were always people that I went that extra mile for, that I said, hey, you know what? Come in on me, try this out. And if you like it, then we can, figure it out after.
It's a big message, man. Yeah. And if you're listening and you're watching, and then you're in the New York City area, Queens, Brooklyn, I'm telling you right now, first of all, the drive to Long Island is actually pretty smooth. You need that time to yourself. You need to listen to a book. You got to listen to this podcast on the way over there.
See, I was going to say, that's the perfect setup. Listen to In the Living Room Pod, mm-hmm. Come to Pro Strength, get a stretch, listen on the way back. It's like,
come on now.
It's better than that.
What else can you ask for? Here's the one thing I want to get to before we wrap up here, bro, because this was an amazing conversation. With what you do, how is your work-life balance? Do you feel like you get enough time for your loved ones, family, etc., things for me? Or will what you do is part of who you are, and that balance thing that we seek doesn't really exist or matter to you?
So this is something I had to learn. In the beginning, I had no work-life balance, and it started not just my relationships, but started to affect me, right? And if I'm not at 100%, if I can't give 100% of myself, right, to myself, how could I give 100% to you or to, the next client coming in? And it took some time. And, sometimes you got to make sacrifice. You got to work a little more or sacrifice the things you want. But I think for me, the biggest step was I used to live very close to my office, and a lot of clients knew that. And I was always a yes, come on in, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. Once I moved farther away, it really forced me to say, okay, what's non-negotiable for myself? Mm-hmm. Because like we were saying earlier, right, to be in a position that I feel blessed to do what I do, where it's not a chore, it's not work, it's not, oh, I have to go in today. Boundaries had to be created, because it doesn't matter how much you love something, too much of it's not good for you. Doesn't matter how much you like chocolate, doesn't matter how much you like sports. Doesn't matter how much you love your spouse, right? Too much of it is not good.
Boy, preaching.
So having the boundary of not a big list, but these are my non-negotiables, really allowed me to do to be able to do what I am doing for as long as I've been doing it.
Amazing message, bro. Where can these people find you? Because I know I'm gonna have all the details in the descriptions and all that below. And usually I say this at the beginning of the pod, but hear me out. What helps this channel is when you genuinely share it, you like what you see, you comment in there. Subscription does more because we're in an era where YouTube finds out what we're doing based on that. And I'm telling you, I think I'm getting the people on here that are helping us, right? Like, it's a genuine man, a great business, and gave so much gem. And if you don't subscribe, we're going to put a hack in your YouTube and your PC and your phone. I'm just letting you know right now, it's going to be my face and like, did you do it? If you don't. But where can these people find you? What time of hours? What times are like best for you or things of that nature?
So you can find me at Recover with Rosado on Instagram. It's the same on my TikTok and my Twitter. And my website is prostrengthrecovery.com. And so you can book a session with me. I'm located in Franklin Square on Long Island. And that's where you can come and interact with me, ask me questions. A lot of people sometimes, I'm too far away, but, can you help me with this? Listen, message me, call me, text me, email me. I will get back to you. We can help you whether you're local or not.
Last question before we go, bro. It's been 10 years.
Yes.
With everything else that's coming, all right, do you have a scope of what you would like the next 10 years to look like? Or is it still a day by day, month by month, year by year kind of process? Yeah,
I like to think that, like I said, I am content but motivated. I'm always looking for that next opportunity, but I am not chasing after something that, maybe, I don't want to say I don't have the aspirations for, but that's something that I didn't have in my mind. If it leads to a second office, great. Another location, another opportunity with, another athlete, But I like to think that as long as I continue to bring not only the passion for what I do, but also the enthusiasm, I feel like just like the last 10 years went, so will the next. I will end up where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be, and not a minute before and not a minute after. The right time, you will always be on time when it's your time at the right time. You know what I mean? Wherever you're meant to be, you will end up. And if you haven't got there yet, it's because you're not supposed to be there yet.
That's how you end the episode. You understand? Ladies and gentlemen, another beautiful edition, a great episode of In the Living Room Podcast where we learn, laugh, and heal. Thank y'all so much for the love and support. Follow my guy. That was amazing, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You get a dap, bro. Damn, that was fucking great. Yo, that was a bomb at the end, bro.